A scale is a series of notes that spans one octave. Different types of scales have different interval patterns. The note that a scale is built around is called the tonic. So if I start on the note C and then apply the major scale interval pattern, then I would get the C major scale. Now, if you take the step pattern for the major scale and you shift the starting point, you get new scales called modes. The major scale is the most commonly used scale by far. So the NMIXX song I've chosen as an example for the major scale is Blue Valentine, which is in the key of A major.
Forever, I can see it now. Can you see it now? 우리 마치 broken glass underground. 돌이킬 수 없다 해도 we can figure it out. If this love is over, 다시 뛰어들어 난.
I think it's very, very obvious what the tonic note is in the pre-chorus, because we're just lingering on the note A, which is the tonic, which we just stay there. It's not quite as common as the major scale. The minor scale is also used a lot in popular music. And an NMIXX song using the minor scale is Spinnin' On It, which is in the key of E minor. We can tell E's the tonic because we sort of land back there, and that's pretty evident from the bass line. So we keep this part that repeats here. It's just the first three notes of the E minor scale, like descending. Now, there's actually a few types of minor scales, and the one you're probably most used to hearing, and the one I just gave an example of, is the natural minor scale, which is usually just referred to as the minor scale. But there's also the melodic minor scale, which I'm not going to talk about, and the harmonic minor scale. Now, the harmonic minor scale is the same as the natural minor scale, but with the 7th scale degree raised by 1/2 step. Now, an NMIXX song that uses the harmonic minor scale is Dice, and that's a G harmonic minor. This note right here is how you know it's harmonic minor. Alright, now if we're talking about modes, the major scale is also referred to as the Ionian mode, and the minor scale as the Aeolian mode. And then the rest of the modes are grouped with either the major scale or the minor scale based on whether its 3rd scale degree is a major third or a minor third. So Ionian, Lydian, and mixxolydian are the major modes. Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian, and Locrian are the minor modes. So I did contemplate giving a more in-depth explanation for how you get the different modes from the major scale. I do think how they're derived is significantly less important than their distinct characteristics and how they sound compared to the major and minor scale, because the vast majority of music uses the major and minor scales, so for most of us that's what we're accustomed to and what we're sort of conditioned to expect, so it makes more sense to look at them in relation to that. And another thing is sometimes when people are talking about music theory and they'll use like random adjectives and emotional like descriptors to talk about the qualities of like a scale or a chord progression, and I try to avoid doing that because it's so subjective, and a lot of those perceptions have to do with an assumption that like Western or European culture and music tradition is the default or is more correct. Something I'll see a lot is like scale being described as exotic or something, which is that's just straight up Orientalism. Now, the Lydian mode is the same as the major scale, with the 4th scale degree raised by half a step. So mistakes, my heart is beating, I feel it. 점점 커져. Mixxolydian mode is the same as the major scale, with the 7th scale degree lowered by half a step. An NMIXX song that uses the Mixxolydian mode is Password. The chorus is in D Mixxolydian. What's your best word? So that step from the tonic down to this flattened 7th scale degree is super obvious. So even though it uses some notes that are from outside of the mode, it's still really easy to hear it as being in Mixxolydian. The Dorian mode is the same as the minor scale, with the 6th scale degree raised by half a step. The first verse of Run for Roses uses F sharp Dorian. 불가능해도 저는 여유 fight back. 불안한 현실에 던진 invitation. 불만 가득한 표정으로 we're back. 불같이 타오를 게 no limitation. You can hear it right there. The Phrygian mode is the same as the minor scale, with the 2nd scale degree lowered by 1/2 step. Now I noticed the flattened 2nd scale degree means it's just 1/2 step above the tonic. The instrumental in the chorus of Sonia is an excellent example of the Phrygian mode, and it's a G Phrygian. Just like that. So it's really obviously setting up this G power chord. So this is G, and then we land 1 step above it. So there's another scale that's similar to Phrygian. It's the Phrygian dominant. Instead of being a mode derived from the major scale, it's a mode of the harmonic minor scale. Now it sounds the same as the Phrygian mode, but the 3rd scale degree is raised half a step. Reality Hurts is in D Phrygian dominant. So we're very clearly establishing that the scale is built around the note D, because we keep lingering around it and coming back to it. And then we're basically just using the notes that characteristic of Phrygian dominant. Now, remember how I said all of the modes are considered either a major mode or a minor mode? Locrian is more of a secret third thing. Compared to the minor scale, the Locrian mode has both its second and fifth scale degrees lowered by 1/2 step. Okay, now, believe it or not, I sort of came up with an example of Locrian from an NMIXX song. If you look at just these notes, you could totally interpret it as C Locrian. Because if you take the context of the entire song, I don't know why the hell you would interpret it as C Locrian, but if you take just that part, it's like sorta kinda you could. So this, that's just outlining a diminished chord.
Wanna fight it, wanna stand up and salute. 지겨운 전망을 넘어 꿈을 거머쥐어 gonna make us move.